Assalamualaikum everybody and welcome back to Podcast with Ammi. Today we have a real powerhouse with us, Amna Khalid, and I think while her kids were in HSN, everybody knew her as like the real power Ammi. And Amna, like ever since I've known her and I've known her kids, जब वो junior school में थे, फिर prep पे senior, her children have always been probably the fittest kids I've seen, but also their commitment to sports. Like one of her son was best swimmer at HSN. They were both best riders, but I've seen Amna like push them physically, on the track fields. I remember them running with like weights behind them. So I feel that at a time jab Pakistan mein obesity and being unfit and I don't know, children gaining so much weight is becoming so common. Now Amna also trains children, like she does one-on-one fitness classes with children and helps children become fitter and more conditioned. But for those of us who, can just aren't able to manage a one-on-one training, I wanted to call Amna in to give us all tips on, okay, how do you make fitness a part of your child's life and how do you then maintain it? Because Amna's kids have been fit since before school till like after school. तो आप कैसे fitness को एक इतना important part उनकी ज़िंदगी का बनाते हो कि फिर वो कभी चाहता ही नहीं है. And also Amna has always been as fit as she is today. So how is that possible? Hi Amna.
Hi Ayesha. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm just humble, honestly. But a tiny bit of it is not exactly true. My kids aren't as fit as they used to be at one point in time. But I hope and pray that sometime in the future, and hoping in the near future, they're going to get back on track. Well, like you were saying, that how to make.
So first, walk us through. जब आपके बच्चे school में थे, like both, you have two boys, and like they would have what was probably a routine that a lot of people would be like, oh my god, like a very regimented routine. So I think they would do sports before school, like one thing or the other, riding करते थे या running, and then they would have like a very military timetable after school. Like they would do 1 or 2 activities or 3, and everything was very like timetable. What inspired you, or what made you feel that that was the best way to bring them up, or that was the right way to bring them up?
So I'm not exactly gonna say that that was the best way or the right way to bring it up, and I think every parent kind of realizes none of us are experts, right?
Absolutely.
We just become parents, and like we train for a lot of other things in life, parenting is one thing that we never ever
Exactly.
We just get married and then we just start having children.
And then we figure out through the mistakes we make.
Yes.
Which is really why, when I began Scaryammi, I wanted to run courses for people who want to become parents. Because I wish I had gone through courses. Like, I really do. Breastfeeding was so difficult because I was never taught and I'm a doctor. So imagine the hundreds and thousands of women who just handed a baby and said,
yes,
Bas doodh pila do.
It's not just that, but I just feel that one of the hardest jobs in the world that exists is parenting.
Yeah.
And it is so, I'm not saying that college and university prepares you for things later in life that you do. There is a huge difference between what you study in theory and then what you do in the field. However, there is some at least introduction. If I'm going to become an economist and I'm going to study.
You study.
Yeah. And then I would have at least a little bit concept of a few things that I'm going to be dealing with, okay? But unfortunately, in parenting, there's just no concept. And I would say, not just here in Pakistan, but even pretty much all around the world, I don't really see any couples, going through any sort of yes, sometimes you see like new moms or new parents abroad, like picking up certain books randomly. That's like too close to the end, and it's not really, it doesn't really prepare you for anything at all.
I agree.
Okay, so so a lot of us end up kind of taking decisions or making choices kind of momentarily in the moment,
and or based on what we know,
what we know, and
यूं होना चाहिए.
And the worst, I don't know the worst or I don't know exactly, but I'd say one of the things that bothers me is that a lot of us in Pakistan become parents, especially the girls, at a very young age. Okay, so like I got married very young, And although I had my first born after like good 3.5 years, but
You were still very
yes,
young.
comparatively. And so you haven't really even seen the world as such, okay? And in our society, at least back in the day, even now, I'd say, if kids feel that they do know a lot more than the parents, they probably do, because they're exposed through social media, but doesn't mean that they become wiser.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So a lot of us end up kind of, whatever tiny little bit wisdom we have, we kind of go by that and start making rules for our children.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what kind of shaped my parenting in the early years was, I think it was how I was as a person myself. Okay, I was a bit too wired, a bit too hyper
Type
myself.
A,
Yes,
yeah.
and too hyper myself as a person, as a human being. And on top
And
of that,
perfectionist.
yes, and I just couldn't really contain myself as to be, trying to, I'm not perfectionist, but I just wanted to do so much and as much as possible as I possibly could for my kids.
I
So,
know.
the other
You were
thing
like the
that-
most passionate mom I've seen.
yeah,
In
so-
a good way, obviously. You just wanted to give them everything.
Yes, I tried my best to, and then I think what really fueled that fire that I had was the fact that my kids also were like extremely hyper. Okay, so I didn't know because how to deal with that, and I didn't have the time to kind of research more into that. So the best solution to that was that
Sports.
yes, not just sports, but all sorts of co-curricular activities. My kids were into debating, into recitations, into MUNs, everything, even plays. They were. I even got them to start playing an instrument to bring a little bit calmness into their lives. So I just felt that was the best way to kind of channel their energies, and that the only way to kind of keep them on the kind of right track was to keep them engaged, their minds engaged.
Constantly.
Yeah, constantly. So, in hindsight, I don't know.
Was that the best? It's interesting. So I think parenting may overall pre-COVID, so even in the US, you got terms like tiger moms and soccer moms, and those are very similar to what you were. Okay, a mom who has every minute of their kid's life scheduled, and she's also trying to give them everything. So she's trying to tick all the boxes: sports, tick; music, tick; academics, tick; extracurriculars, tick. And so they're like so many ticks, and those kids are exposed to everything, and the mom is doing nothing but shuttling them from one activity or supervising. And there are, like, literally in the US, I think the term tiger mom is meant for moms like you. Pakistan mein, I feel the kind of passion you had is not that commonly seen, because we outsource so much to maids कि फिर वो आधा काम तो maids कर रही होती हैं. But you, I remember standing at the swimming pool, standing here. But now, gradually, a lot of parenting psychologists and all say, okay, that's maybe not the best thing, and maybe giving them downtime is better, and maybe giving them random time is better. And our college counselors are talking about, we don't want the all-rounder, we want the specialist. So in hindsight, now that your boys are older, if you were to do it again, would you still do the tiger mom, or would you think you'd be a different kind of mom?
So here's the thing with me. I think the most important thing that happened in our lives was I don't know if it was by default or if it was by design. I really can't say much about it. But the issue was that I was not just the mother
You were also
or
the father.
but I was also the teacher, because I didn't have a maid for my kids. Never,
Yes.
ever.
You were also the cook.
Yes, I used to cook for them as much as I possibly could. Okay, and I used to teach them. All subjects were taught by me. I was one of their primary, horse riding instructor also, along with my best friend. But yes, I was there constantly. Okay, and it became such a major part of it that that's how my
You ended up buying a horse riding school.
yeah, so we started running one, and then although he was the expert, but he felt that he also kind of needed my so-called expert support in that, and I also became an instructor in that area. Similarly, I think the couple of coaches that I ever hired were for swimming, but still partly a lot of that swimming coaching was also being done by me. I taught my kids how to play tennis and hockey, and all the debating was just me. Okay, recitations was just me.
Track and athletics for you.
Yes, running.
But now, do you think that you exhausted yourself and it maybe wasn't the best way, or do you think it was the best way? Like in hindsight, I feel we can look back and be like, was it the best thing to do? Was it not?
I feel, I'll quickly tell you one more thing. My theory behind all this was that I wanted to introduce, and because they were the kids who wanted to be involved in it, they also were very proactively wanting to get involved.
They were happily going towards these activities.
So, but yes, I do feel that maybe I should have held them back a little and forced them to not be a part
to
of
go
so
deeper
many,
in some activities.
But the thing was that the whole theory at that time was that I wanted to introduce as many things as I could to them until the age of 8 and 9. Once they hit double digits, I backed off. And that's exactly what I did. I backed off. In fact, my younger one was kind of forced to stay into swimming for another 3-4 years against his will. And that was
because he was so good.
Yes, he was so good, and he was naturally good, but his heart was not there. And I could see it, and I kept on telling the coach, but the coach wouldn't listen. And more importantly, his older brother wouldn't listen. My older son said, no, don't make the mistake that I made. And I kept on telling him, you left it for your convenience, and now you're punishing this poor guy for it. And I was not happy that he was doing something that he was unhappy doing. Similarly, now both of them have just pretty much left 99.9% of the things and are only doing one thing, maybe sometimes. My younger one is just specific. His heart was always, he's a true equestrian. Not just the tent pegging, but he's a true equestrian.
So he continues to do that. And your older one?
My older one, he wants to do, but unfortunately it's difficult from, the area that he's in, it's difficult for him to be riding. But he is kind of finding his own, and that's what I want my kids to do. Yes, I did a lot of things with them, but one thing I never did was I did not ever tell them that I want you to become this or I want you to become that. All I told them was, I just want you to give your 100%. Whatever you do in life, just try to give your 100%. I don't want you to do 3 things or 30 things or 1. It's your choice. You want to do more?
But just do it really
well. Yes. And I said just do it really well. Just don't do a half-ass attempt, because a half-ass attempt is something that I am not happy with. And that's not so that's it. Whatever they choose, I am there to support them. And yes, now in hindsight, I would say that maybe some of the things, they were kids at the end of the day, but I shouldn't have behaved like a kid myself and, gotten carried away and let them go ahead with everything that they wanted to put their hands into. I should have probably held them back.
Do you think part of it was guilt because you were a single parent? And I know solo parenting is becoming, I wouldn't say common, but it's being seen a lot more in Pakistan now. Yeah. Because of divorces or also like separations, and then thirdly, because of the financial condition of the country, fathers is living in a different country, different time zones.
Yes.
So with everything coming. So as a solo parent, did you ever feel guilty? Okay, my kids don't have an active father, so let me just be the mother, the father, and like more.
Okay, so even when I was not single, I was exactly the same way.
So it wasn't
that. Now that could be by default a reaction to what because their father even at that time was not so proactive. He wasn't able to do a lot of things. He would, even now he's hardly able to do any things proactively with them. And it's not because he is just like that as a person. Okay, I'm not counting it as one of his flaws, honestly.
That's
but
his
that's
personality.
personality. Okay, and I did not ever, complain about that as such. Other than the fact that yes, I wanted him to, for instance, take the kids out to the park at least. He wouldn't even kind of do that.
Very
So-
desi father like.
Yes, I don't know. So he was just kind of always a bit intimidated by handling the kids and taking the kids. I don't know what that was, but so I never then kind of dug too deep into that, and I didn't mind, and I was just doing things. But and because I guess I was just so hyper myself that I just never realized that no, there are certain things that I should not be doing. I mean, I don't. And that is what happened like about 7-8 years ago, and especially now, these 4-5 years, I don't do anything. There are a lot of things that even I should be, for instance, doing as still their parent, but I say no. I've done my share. Now it's up to you guys. Like for instance, I won't say that it's completely me telling them this. Sometimes, once in a while, it is. But like for instance. Both my boys, especially the one in the US, I am not affording him. There's a lot of, he's kind of trying his best to financially support himself.
Oh, so he's doing like part-time jobs.
Yes, he does that. And there is support from,
His father.
A father, like in the sense that he lives in the same house. But still there is a lot that there isn't, and he's trying to manage that. So, yes, I guess I've done.
So from being
extremes.
super hands-on,
Yes.
now you're completely
Yes,
hands-on, and you feel this is the right approach, or you're figuring it out, maybe?
I guess it's just I tell my kids once in a while I guess every kid complains. So when my kids, there was a time period when my boys, especially my older ones, started complaining, and I would say, dude, whoever said that I never claimed to be a great parent. I never even claimed to be a good parent or a mother.
I was the best parent I could be.
I said I'm just a mother, and just like you, I was also trying to figure things out. Maybe that shouldn't have been like that, but I was just doing things whatever I thought best in the moment. Okay, so and because our lives were so fast at that point in time, even now sometimes they tend to be, but I tried to slow it down as much as I possibly. But my life, my kids' lives were like
I know.
crazy fast. And they were like not even a roller coaster, but like beyond that.
Yes,
there were
I
times when
remember.
it was like no time to breathe.
I think you were sleep deprived for like 13 years.
Yeah, more than 13 years, honestly.
Because you were just at it. Like, I think the kids would get up at 4, do their namaz.
Yes,
They
and
were
then
at the athletics ground, changing, a breakfast in the car. Like, I remember a lot.
And then
of
there was a
that.
point in time when I was, initially working full time also, and not just one job, but 2 jobs. I was working in a law firm, I was running an event management company, I was.
And yet you were at every practice.
And then I let go of those things, and then I started running the writing school just so that I can run something and while looking after them also. So I also, my life, I kind of
Put it all on hold.
Yes, it's revolved around them. So I put that on hold and started doing something else instead, just to be around them.
But
more.
is it worth it, like, to be the kind of mother who sacrifices everything for her children? Like, it's very noble. But do you feel that then you become like very emotionally dependent? Like I'm also very type A like you, but I'm always wondering that, and I had to like take a career break when my husband moved abroad, because I was like, now it's just me. I have maids, so I don't cook for them. But there's a lot that I have to now do that.
Yeah.
And Nasir was a very involved dad, so like he would help with school pickups, school drop-offs, homeworks. ये वो कुछ भी नहीं ना. He does what he can on Zoom, but that's it. बाकी तो सब कुछ is me. So then I had to take a career break, and I keep asking myself this: that am I going to regret this? Am I going to hold it against the kids? And now I'm forcing myself to go back to work, because I'm becoming so emotionally dependent on them, which is not a good idea. So what do you feel? Do you feel, but you went way more than I did. and you had 2, मेरा तो फिर भी सर I feel dissipate हो जाता है ना, 5 बच्चों में कम energy per kid मिलती है. Your kids were getting full on Amna.
Yeah, so yeah. And
You
I
should
feel
have had
sorry
like
for
that
that.
kids.
And I
Imagine if you had 6 kids. फिर सही रहता.
Oh my gosh.
If you were divided into 6, 1/6 of Amna is okay for each child.
I think you're punishing me for my comment to you. No,
No,
it's
no.
just, is it worth it? In my opinion, the first answer would be no.
You shouldn't like give
No.
all of you.
And
to the kids.
it's not because I regret, by the way. I'm not saying no because I regret.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
That was your journey.
That was my journey, and not just that, because I also know myself. If I hadn't done it,
You would
and
have now had regrets.
Okay, and tomorrow, if my kids, who are even right now not doing some things that I would like them to do, for instance, basically, I would think, oh, it's because
I didn't give them my 120%.
Yes. Oh, because and you know, and then weirdly enough, I had a couple of older elders around me. Well, I'm going to name them. One of them being their dadi also. She kind of encouraged that, no. I made the mistake of not being around the boys and I was too caught up with work, so please don't make that mistake yourself. And then somebody else in my family also kind of advised
The mom
me.
guilt.
Yes, but I don't think so. I mean, I'm not saying. I also there's one more thing that I have discovered over the years, and I know, I'm sure you've heard that upbringing is everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tarbiyat is everything.
मतलब तरबियत एक बच्चे की बिल्कुल जिंदगी बदल देती है. I don't agree with that at all.
You don't?
I don't agree with it at all. And this is, I talk from experience, and not just my experience. I've also observed a lot of other cases around me, and I've been dealing with kids for a long time. My parents also being into college counseling, and I was also working for a school.
And then you were at every practice, so I think you saw every child's journey.
Yes. So and
You saw my children up every child.
Yes. So
लाहौर का कोई बच्चा था जिसको आमना ने up close नहीं देखा था.
Upbringing is not everything.
Really, what is?
Genes.
Really?
Is way stronger than upbringing. Maybe later on in life there will be certain things that will be instilled in you as a child, that they are going to finally come from this part of your brain to the front, and you're going to start following them.
But you feel beating genes is impossible.
I feel beating genes is impossible. Okay, to a great extent, in my opinion. Let's see how but I've seen my boys, they were like, I was with them if they're, out of 24 hours, I was with them in 27 hours,
I remember.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was like that crazy. However, they took so many things from their father whom they had hardly spent any time with.
True.
Yes, and it was like, it's
Who they barely knew.
And it's like shocking for me to even there were certain things, yes, I'd be like, oh wow. And once again, not as it was something quite fascinating, something not that I was like super upset about. Yes, initially I was like, oh, why aren't they doing that? And then I realized, it hit me that this is so not me. This is so not the the household. Yes, or the household they've been living in, or it's their genes coming. And then I also, so this is why I also kind of say no, that yes, I would have kind of done the same things with them, but maybe not. I would have probably done it for a slightly shorter period of time.
And maybe less things.
Slightly, yes, or sometimes eased out a few things. Well, like, I think the wise always say, nothing, not even the good things are, good for you when they're done in an extreme manner.
Yeah.
So I think moderation is the key for everything. And I think that also goes for parenting. I think you should not lose yourself.
Which you did.
Yes.
You were like the classic example of the mom who sacrificed everything.
Yes, I did.
Like everything. You would cook, and I think you were only cooking foods that were good for them, not foods that you liked.
Yes.
And then the car would, I remember you telling me that you would sacrifice all your even manicure pedicure money, everything. कि बस
Everything.
इसको भी मैं बच्चों पे खर्च दूँ, इसको भी बच्चों पे
Yes,
खर्च दूँ, ये
yes,
भी उनके
yes,
लिए कर दूँ,
yes.
which is remarkable and noble, but maybe not the best.
No, not the best thing. And I'm not saying, and I don't take pride in doing that. And
But there's
I
also no
try
shame
also,
in doing it.
yes, and I also try not to kind of jataofy to my kids also. But once in a while, if I say something and my kids are like, "Man, you did it," and they're right. They're absolutely right. I did it because I wanted to.
Yeah.
They never asked me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, if they ask me for something, then I would say then that this is what you asked for, and I did this, and look what's happened, or whatever. But they never ask me. Even now, even the things that I should be doing sometimes, if I
But
say
now
something,
you've gone the other extreme.
I have gone
And
the other
maybe you'll
extreme.
find your balance in another couple of years. कि
I just
अच्छा,
want to-
ना ये extreme ना वो, somewhere in the middle.
I guess I felt that they had an overdose of me, okay, and being boys. Not that, I'm not into the gender thing per se, but at the end of the day, there are two genders, and so it was just the mom constantly on top of their head, and all they ever saw was the mom, and that's about it. And I guess that's how their godfather or my best friend became my best friend, even like a deeper friendship, because he then kind of
Became the male figure
yes,
in their lives.
and then and in fact, I guess now also I've backed off more because he's constantly involved to
With
another
Sola?
level. Yes, with Sola and with even my older one. A lot of times, like there came a time when things. Circumstances were such, and my older one was going through a very, very, very rough time, it just so happened that there was just no communication. And I remember my best friend calling me one day, and he said, "When was the last time you spoke to Ali Muhammad?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't even remember. Maybe it's been like 4 months, or has it been 6?" He said, What the hell is going on? No way." And he called him up and he said, "This is no way, you have to do." And he told me off also. He said, "This is no way, why the hell?"
So you've really gone the two extremes.
So I did. But here's my thing on it. A lot of people back in the day would see me, like for instance you also, they were shocked when both my brothers left, and they both left together. Okay, and so from being this crazy involved with them to them not being around at all.
And being in like 2 oceans apart.
Yes, 2 oceans apart, and
Without you.
Yes, and I couldn't visit them at all. So that was also. However, I keep on telling everybody that I am. I don't know till now. I don't know if things change tomorrow, but a lot of people used to question me. Oh, you should do something, or you should. Remarry, or you should do whatever, or you should start thinking about your life, because once they go, what are you going to do? Because they felt that
What will you do
what
when
will I
the
do?
purpose of your life has been
because that's all I did.
parenting?
Yes, even my dad
For
used to
how
say-
long? Like 15 saal you were just a mother.
I was 17 and a half years.
You were literally
just a mother, and
from dawn till like
yes,
past
even my
midnight.
father, he would say that if somebody asks Amna, what do you do, and she would say Ali Muhammad and Sunnah. That's all she does. Okay, so it was
Because there was no space for
there
anything
was
else.
no space, but I kept on telling everybody that I do this because I don't know. There's this. I don't know how to explain, because I felt that the need, the kind of weird sort of an inner obligation to do it for my kids. But it wasn't because I was dependent on it, because I was trying to find my life, live my life through them. No. This is what I tell them now. I've done my share, and I've done way more than my share. And
Now it's
whatever
your
you make out of your life now, okay, whether you want to be somebody celebrated or somebody super successful in who fits the typical success box in the society, or somebody who's like completely very different from it's your choice. Okay, it's your journey. You have to choose your path. I'm not going to tell you. Yes, if you need my support, if you need my advice, I'm always going to be there. but I'm not going to try to instill things into you that or try to shape your lives. The only thing I require out of them is honestly speaking, very honestly speaking, and I'm not just saying that. I genuinely mean it, and my kids I have messages, on my WhatsApp and Insta message, saying the same. I want you to be a good human being. I genuinely, genuinely, genuinely want them to be a good human being. I want them to say their 5 prayers, the very least, at the very least. I tell them, just say first. It's okay if you don't want to say, sunnats and nafals and what. I know you and I were having this debate about Taraweehs also on this other group, and so I would have really loved if they would say Taraweeh or do, but
since you've left them to their own devices.
Yes, so I just feel that, yes, there were times where they kind of went off track, didn't say their prayers as regularly as they used to at one point in time while I was there with them. When they moved, it was a huge change for them from this life to that life, the school and everything, the environment, and they were teenagers. So
and there was no mom, there was no Amna.
There was no So suddenly in a day's time there was no namaz. Suddenly from going 5 times or 4 times a day to going 0.
No namaz.
But
gradually they're finding
so
a
I kept
balance.
on and the only thing now I try to do with them is, which I initially when they moved, for a year I tried to do it. Then I completely backed off.
What was that?
Now I have kind of gone back to doing it, but in a moderation or very little. It's like just reiterating certain things in a very calm manner. Mera beta, I would like if you can just say a prayer. Can you please say it? Can you please do this? And that's it. So I just tell them that there are 2-3 things.
But Amna, what made you feel that from going 27 hours out of 24 and giving them a full-on Amna dose and like standing there while they're swimming, and then I still remember Sula and Ali Muhammad running in Gaddafi, and they were like dragging weights behind them, like weight training and athletic trainings, and you were there running with them.
Yes.
So from being that mom to being like, I'm going to be hands off, you guys go. What brought that switch? Like, what made you feel, acha, this is the right thing to do?
I just feel that every human being, every child is different, and we need to give them space to
be who
they are and become the individual that they want to be. If I'm going to, there may be a lot of things that I might like or prefer in this world, but if I start, putting a pressure on them, or kind of even constantly telling them that this is what I want you to be, this is what I want you to be, or this is a better profession, or this is a better line for you. I want them to come up with whatever they want to be themselves. It should be their individuality. I feel, I don't know why, but I love the fact that my parents allowed us
to be who you are.
Yes, they allowed, although I do not come from a kind of family which is, it might not look like it if you look at me, who's very modern or westernized as such. In a lot of ways, my family, my parents were quite narrow-minded and conservative. But
they allowed you to be.
Yes, they were.
And you were very different from some of your sisters, so your parents allowed that.
Yes,
individuality.
And not just myself, all 4 of us are quite different, very different. Okay. We think differently. In fact, to a point that we're always arguing because we think so differently. Okay, so there's hardly anything that we agree on. So, and I realized that my parents allowed that. They allowed me. I personally did a lot of things in life which girls were not allowed in our society to do, and my parents just quietly allowed me.
Yeah.
They did, They did not. I wouldn't say they encouraged me or they kind of
pushed you.
But they weren't
just
the cheerleaders, but they quietly allowed me. Okay, they just let me be. So even when I moved back to Pakistan after a broken marriage, they, in so many ways, they just allowed me to be.
Supported you.
And now that when the people ask me, that's when I really realize it even more, that why do I value individualism so much? Maybe because I saw that happen to me. Okay, so I do feel that, and I personally feel that every human, every child is unique, and they will bring, and this is the beauty of the creation of God, that no matter, we can be in trillions, and but still nobody's
the same,
like
absolutely.
the other. Okay, so I want them to bring their individuality, their uniqueness.
And I guess in the very Gora Western sense, this is a normal thing to do. When your kid is 16 or 18, some Goras like still throw their kids out of the house and they're like, now go live your life, which is kind of what you did. But you didn't throw them out because they went to their dad's house. But like you threw them out of an environment.
But in a lot of ways, it was kind of throwing them out, by the way.
But which is like Pakistan, I'm like, oh my God, what did Amna do? Like, he kaun karta hai? But because Pakistan, you never leave your parents' house, right?
Because like I said,
शादी होके बच्चे होके बच्चों की भी शादी हो जाती हैं. You literally, like I know families literally, and it's not just one, like hundreds and thousands. Okay, the father has married, his kids have married, his kids have kids. And they're still living in the father's house. And so you never leave. So for us, it's like, what did Amna do? One extreme to the other. But if you look at it in a very Western concept, that is kind of what all parents do. Okay, they go, maybe not as full throttle as you went, but they do the parenting for a set number of years. In Pakistan, that's not the way. Na? We never stop parenting, ever. So, like my puppo still makes granola, which is beautiful, very endearing for her son, and her son is now a grandfather.
My God.
But that is very much desi parenting. Na? We never stop parenting, we never stop taking care of our children, and then hence attachment parenting and dusri baatein, which is separate. So I think what you did might seem very odd to desis because hum ye nahi karte.
Yeah, it was very odd, and a lot of people.
But it's very common in a global context.
It is. But I don't think I drew my inspiration from there. It's just
you
that
felt the kids needed it.
I felt it was an overdose of me. I also felt, honestly speaking, I did in a way, because of the circumstances were such, and I'm not going to go into the detail, I did kind of throw them out. My older one slightly initiated it, but he only slightly initiated it. And I knew what he was getting himself into, yet I just let it go. And I did warn him to tell him that, but the younger one not so much. And then the older one, even when he kind of was like flapping around trying to stay afloat, I kind of let him be.
Yeah.
I told him that it's your journey, and lots of different things happen to a lot of different kids in the world, and they have to survive it.
Yeah.
And this is now, you have to figure out a way how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Yes, once again, I keep on repeating that I am here. If you ever need me, I'm only a call.
But which is again like the Gora way of doing it.
But that's it, and that's
Goras bhi yahi kehte hain, we're here.
Yeah.
Like, go fend for yourself.
The other thing I also felt was that, and I kept on telling all my friends or family who kept on, constantly telling me that I need to think about myself. Once the boys fly out of the nest, whatever, I'll be just going through this empty nest syndrome. I hate to say this, and I feel so horrible in a way being a mom. I never felt a single day of empty nest syndrome.
Because then you filled your life with things that were important to you.
I started, I had...
Like a baking business.
Yes, that had started in front of the boys. Even my fitness training had started in front of the boys. The riding school was there in front. Honestly, I didn't start anything new other than probably, even the college council kind of started in front of the boys. So, that's it. There wasn't exactly...
But you were able to give more time to all these.
I don't know why. I just... and the odd thing was that I was on bed rest for an extended period of time after the boys left. And I had nobody...
Why were you on bed rest?
Because I had broken my leg yet again for the fourth time, and this time I had...
Falling off the horse.
Falling off the horse, and I had not just that, I had a pretty extensive surgery where I got like wires and the plates and the wires and the nuts and all. So that was for a long time, and my siblings were busy in their lives naturally. Uh, I
And your
didn't
kids
have,
were, like,
yes,
in
my
the
kids were
US.
not there, okay, and they were too also busy. They would not.
So it was
all
just
at a-
you.
Yes, it was just me. It was just me. My parents were there, but my dad is like, is not much of a talker at all. And they were downstairs, so I was upstairs, so it wasn't like, and I literally, and I don't exactly have friends whom there's hardly anybody I talk to over the phone. There's been hardly anybody in my life whom I call up and talk for even 30 minutes over the phone. Other than my best friend, but even he was like, I don't know, he was busy in his life and there was like nobody to talk to even. So I don't know what I was doing, but I was totally fine.
And you
Yeah,
were fine with yourself.
I was fine with myself.
Yeah.
But I kept on telling everybody that wait till they leave. In fact, I can't wait until they leave. So I can
Because I
be
think you
myself.
got time to also think about yourself, na? Like when your life is so packed, you get no time to reflect.
Okay, so you're so spot on. There were so many days of my life that I did not even get a chance to ever think. So even the decisions that I was making they
Were not
in the
based on
moment.
deep thinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So at night I would sometimes stay awake, but that's not the same as like doing it. So of course there was
When night पे भी आप उनकी speeches लिख रही थी.
Yeah, two different
You know, my
things.
Quran teacher actually said this very recently. She said that don't turn Ramadan into a checklist. Like she was like, don't do, okay, I'm going to a Dara, then I'm going to a Bayan, then I'm going to a Tarawi, then I also have to go to an Aftari outside, then I have to go to a Sahur. She's like, please don't use Ramzan to reflect. And like she kept talking about, and then she gave like a lot of references from the Quran, which is separate, but she kept saying, it is only when you reflect that the Dara will make sense. It is only when you reflect that the Bayan will make sense. She said, otherwise, if you're going to replace normal socializing and daily activities with, okay, Ramzan checklist, she's like, you're not going to get what you want out of the month. Because if you just like, Tarawi, Nafal, ye wo, she's like, when are you reflecting? When are you connecting with Allah? So I feel कि वो तो होता ही तब है when you give yourself time. Like you can't be like,
Yes,
okay,
you
I'm
don't have-
exhausted, I'm sleep
Yes.
deprived, I have 20 things to do, but let me take these 5 minutes to reflect. You तो नहीं होता.
Yes. So I agree, and I so agree with your Quran teacher. Although very honestly speaking, a lot of people won't believe me when I say this. So I'm not a very social person. In a lot of, in fact, growing up, even till now, I used to be an extremely antisocial person. I've become better, and I tell you, okay, so here's a story in this also. When I had my children, that's when I decided to try to be less antisocial.
And you were
For
so social.
So for theirs,
You were hosting all the HSN breakfast. You were hosting all the
Yeah, so
HSN
it was like-
meetups.
it was-
Every HSN mom's birthday was hosted by Amna
yeah,
Khalid.
so it was that kind of social. But other than that, if you saw me in like the
Socializing
street
with
socializing,
bachche ke-
yes, that's what I'm saying. So I decided, but even that was a major step for me because there are people who are in the city who know me when I was growing up as a child and as a teenager in my college years. I was the most horrid, ridiculously horrid antisocial person ever. To an extent where I make myself laugh now when I go back and think to what I used to be. I've come a long way, but still I am not at heart. a social
Inherently,
person.
yeah.
Yes,
But for the kids, you were like, ye bhi karna hai."
yeah, and my older one is one person who truly understands me, and he's the one who came up with like the perfect phrase for me. He said, people don't understand, but you're the most social antisocial person.
Yeah.
Okay, so your friends don't realize this, and this is why I guess I also had trouble connecting to people on that level and didn't
Yeah.
really make
Go deep in friendships.
deep friendships. I have friends, but
like, would
there's
you
nobody
deep-
that I would go and hang out with hours.
Or go on, like,
they
trips
would come
with.
over. Yes, I have nobody ever to travel with. I have to travel alone, which I love again because I'm an
But if it's something you want to do as you grow, you could become the kind of person and find people you have deep conversations with.
I'm trying, but I guess it's just something.
But Pakistan, Lahore, it's quite hard to find thinking women also. Sorry, no judgment, but I do feel that.
And thinking men even more
Men
harder
though.
to find.
But I feel that with men, I don't like, mera zyada interaction on a deeper level is with women. So I can't really comment on men. Since you run a riding school, you probably are around a lot more men.
Yes, a lot more.
Yeah. Ajay, so Amna, my last question is about HSN College, which for a very long time was your obsession and your, like, I know you were, I feel, the quintessential HSN mom. You were there at drop-offs, there at pickups, hosting every HSN mom's birthday. जो activity HSN में होती थी, उसकी expertise आमना के पास थी. Riding, go to Amna. All the kids who were winning, including your own kids, the riding competitions were trained by Amna. Swimming, expertise Amna. I remember Abhi Kayan had just entered HSN. And I think I spoke to Adila.
Yeah.
And I was like, Adila, how do I figure out ke swimming ka acha coach kaun hai, riding ka? She's like, Amna Khalid. And then I realized that's actually true. You had become an expert on everything HSN demanded. Recitations, Amna. Or so you had really, and then you chose to not have your boys graduate from HSN. So after having that dream, पहले उनका admission कराया, it was your dream कि मैंने अपने बच्चों को HSN में भेजना है, फिर मैंने उनको excel करवाना है, and फिर you were like कि मैंने उनको graduate नहीं करवाना. Now, as somebody who's experienced HSN, do you feel this mad rush के बच्चा पैदा हुआ है HSN जाना है, उनकी तकदीर में लिख दो? Do you feel HSN is what the moms and dads of Lahore, or a good portion of the moms and dads, still believe that bas once your kid goes to HSN, success is guaranteed?
Okay, I guess I'm the worst.
You can be honest now,
No,
because
I
अब
want
तो
to be
कोई
that-
बच्चा है ही नहीं
No,
HSN में.
it's not even that. So I don't think you know that about me, but I was very honest even when my kids were at HSN, and I had a lot of confrontations with the administration, including the principal of HSN College. A lot of times, different principals, by the way.
You saw a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them, and not just and none of them except for Shamim Khan Sahab I saw in happy moments. Okay, and in fact, so I saw quite an era at HSN College. I was there for a very, very long time, and the biggest chunk of my day and my kids' days was
Spent at HSN
So
College.
here's the thing. I was not the one who was obsessed with HSN, and I was not the one who chose HSN for my boys, especially not initially. It's just that my mom did. She really wanted. But she, kind of expressed her wish or desire, and that she really wanted, back, from the time that we were kids. Okay, and something that had,
Stayed
she
in
had
her
in her
mind.
mind. And my
Your brother didn't go to HSN.
my brother didn't.
तो फिर वो ज़्यादा बन जाती है ना चीज़.
And
Like after क्या ना है शाहरुख, I'm like आलियान जाए भी ना जाए, I don't really care.
yeah, so maybe it was that.
कि जब नहीं जाता तो you feel like ये
Yes.
तो कुछ वो.
Although at that when my brother was younger, we weren't in a situation where he could actually go to HSN. But later on, I think my parents tried once, but that was too late when he was like in OA level something. Okay, so and he didn't sit the exam. They kind of thought about it and then they would work out. But my mom kind of felt that it was a prestigious institute and she kind of pitched it. My father never suggested. In fact, my father was like, because I'd come back from the US, so he said, well, it's a no-brainer, but then I tell you, my issue was that when I went to LAS and my younger one was too young at the time. He hadn't been attending school in the States. But my older one was, and he was going to this brilliant school. So when I went for a tour at LAS, never really. It was something
Never
that
inspired you.
Never inspired me. It was just in the place, whatever. It just didn't resonate with me.
Okay.
Although,
But HSN did, because obviously the campus, the pagadiyan.
When I went to HSN, I didn't even HSN. I went to much later on, after my the application forms were kind of taken. I hadn't gone for a visit before that, but I'd heard, and But yes, the campus fascinated me because a person
is
who's like
beautiful.
into, I'm a very outdoorsy person.
Yeah.
I spend many hours outdoors, and so for a person like me, it's like a haven. It's
I
like
know.
amazing.
And it is beautiful.
And
You
it
have
is
to go and
gorgeous.
deny
Okay.
person.
And by the way, when Ali Muhammad went to got admitted into HSN, at that time HSN was pretty much there in all its old glory. The new buildings had not been constructed. Okay, that only came about after he got admitted.
Okay.
So, which is something that I don't agree with.
तब तो और भी खूबसूरत
तो बहुत
होगा.
खूबसूरत
And
था.
massive
Yeah,
lawns.
but that was it. And even then, it was like, yes, bigger grounds, but.
But
I
as an
myself-
institution, do you feel HSN is worth the rat race? And do you think HSN is for every boy? And do you think HSN is that rubber stamp of a success?
So I'll tell you, and जहाँ तक campus की बात है, by the way, I didn't go crazy over it. I'll tell you why. Because we had come from the United States where everything is so much bigger.
That's true.
And by the way,
and वहाँ तो और भी खूबसूरत campuses हैं.
बहुत और
Like if you
the gorgeous campus that my older son went to until kindergarten was unbelievable. It was like a candy land. Okay, it was a fairy tale. It was so beautiful. Okay, another thing I want to tell you that growing up, my father's always been in the government. He was in the military and then got inducted into the civil service. I have seen the most gorgeous grounds. I have lived in houses which are like on 14,
Acres.
16 canals, 18 canals, okay?
Yeah.
So maybe more than 18 canals. And not once, I've lived in many cities like that. From Multan to Gujranwala to Lahore, even Lahore, one of the biggest houses. I was blessed that way. So that was something that was not very, very attractive to me. Yeah, it was nice and that's about it. And of course, in comparison, if I saw some other campuses, I was like, whoa, okay, this is very tiny, which I did not realize until and unless I went there and, viewed them. I do not agree with HSN at all. I started thinking of pulling my kids out when my younger one was in K3.
really.
I had written a withdrawal letter. If it weren't for my best friend and maybe in a very mellow way, a part of my family, they were like, who does that?
And maybe K3 is too soon now.
My older one was in grade 5 or 6 then. No, 6. He was in E1, E2, okay, and my younger one was in K3. And they said, no, just wait it out for another couple of years. Junior school is a bit, I think it's just not, you guys, suddenly things are not settling too well, but things will change once the younger one goes into prep school. And can you believe it? Nothing had happened as such. I had pulled my older one out. I pulled my older one out only 2 months before his graduation.
Excuse
And
me.
this is
And then you also feel the alternative kya hai, alternative kya hai, alternative kya hai.
And here's the thing. My kids were okay there. It was me who wasn't. Okay.
What did you not like? What do you not like about HSN?
The administration hated me. Okay, let's look at the bigger picture and then I'll go into the couple of, smaller, minute details, kind of objective and subjective perspective kind of thing. So, the bigger picture is that all these prestigious schools, in my opinion, be it anywhere in the world, and especially more so in our part of the world, okay, they do not really allow
Individuality.
They do not.
They don't.
They crush it.
I agree.
And not just crush
HSN
it.
especially crushes
Yes.
it.
No, I tell you, there are schools like
Eton and all.
no, even I'm not going to go to the UK schools. I do feel that the same issue is faced by a lot of parents even abroad. But I have had no personal experience with that because when I did my schooling from a regular school in England, of course it wasn't a very prestigious school, it was like a public school that I went to, and they allowed me to read. Okay.
Regular schools do.
Yeah.
But HSN you
HSN
feel,
doesn't. Even
so HSN where you feel any child who's an individual, who's a musician.
even PSI, in Islamabad.
पर एचएसएन का ये ना कि एचएसएन इज 6000 बच्चा, तो वो तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं अलाउ कर सकते, लाइक इट इज सच अ मैसिव स्कूल in terms of numbers.
They want to.
They have to keep you into the line.
Yes.
कैसे
You see,
PSI में चलो कितना होगा 500 800.
but you know the parents have pretty much the same issues.
I'm sure, but 500 बच्चे में अब फिर भी थोड़ा बहुत स्पेस है. 6000 में तो I feel उनको लगता है यही बात है कि they're keeping the kids safe and in classes. ये सोचना कि भाई
safety में
I know.
I'm not pointing fingers, and I'm not going to.
But I know injuries and bullying is.
It's not nice. A lot of things that are happening in school. I'm not saying HSN is the only one, but yes.
Because of HSN.
I do feel that they have the resources to control things and in a much better way, but they're not doing it. Okay, my another contention that I have with them is I always told them that they have the platform.
Yeah.
From the grounds to the other lot of facilities. The HSN is a semi-government owned school.
Yeah.
So it has the best of both worlds. It's getting the support from the government, yet from private individuals, and also it does cater to a lot of the upper class as well. There is and this is why I ended up choosing HSN for my kids, because it has a mix of what Pakistan is, and
it
because
does.
I had moved from the US,
you didn't want
so
your kids
I did
to
not want my
live
kids
in
to
a
be
bubble.
Okay, and in the American school, the grade that Ali Muhammad was going to go into had only 3 kids,
and HSN में I think 300.
Yeah, 300 भी ज़्यादा थे.
Oh,
So
great.
it was like, yes. So it was like I was thinking that no, this is not going to happen, and also the
But
kind of.
where do you feel HSN is going wrong? As somebody who's gone through the entire experience with 2 boys and done it very passionately
I think that
and
crushing
involved.
kids, the individuality. I don't mean to say it in a negative manner, but I do know for a fact my boys, especially my older one, so bright. You would throw things at him and he would respond like this.
But maybe
Dance.
not right in rote learning.
No. But
maybe he was an innovator in HSN.
yes, but then
because-
HSN, the system eventually, till date my kids are not rote learners, by the way. HSN wasn't able to train them to rote learn, and I do feel that it's a good skill to have. One should learn how to rote learn. There's nothing wrong with that. But the way HSN goes about things, it dulls the brain.
Yeah, it does.
I felt after 3-4 years that my
The
son
spark was
not
gone.
yes, he was not responding like he used to. The spark was gone. I just felt that it does kill creativity, the ingenuity, the creativity, the
out of
innovation,
box.
out of the box. No, there is no concept of out of the box.
There
okay?
isn't. They can't. They don't have the space
And
to
the
allow it.
worst part is, other than all this that is happening, the worst thing that is happening simultaneously, it crushes the confidence. If there is a confident child, okay, कोई बहुत ढीठ होगा जो बेचारा ढीठ रह के confident रह जाए. Otherwise, it does crush. Even the ढीठ ones get crushed in certain ways. कि उनका कई चीज़ों में confidence goes to like below 0. I know this for a fact. I've seen it in many boys. Okay, a lot of parents just don't want to address a lot of issues in HSN. Okay, the issue, the problem with me was, and why I was always like clashing with the administration, was because I was voicing out way too many things. Plus, everybody kept on telling me initially, and I did not believe them. But yes, it hit me one day, and then I felt that they were right all along. Why didn't I put this 2 and 2 together? I was a mother, and I was too vocal. They did not appreciate. It's a very patriarchal school. Yes, it's a school for boys, but every tiny little stone to everything in that, the environment, everything is very patriarchal there. Although you will mostly see mothers there and less fathers coming to the school to pick the kids up and or being involved. In fact, you'll always hear the coaches and the trainers and the teachers and the headmasters complaining about mothers. Oof, these mothers, they drive us crazy. Oof, these mothers, because there's a lot of involvement of the mothers. Yet, even those mothers, without even knowing it, are actually encouraging and letting those things flourish in a very patriarchal society. So that was, I felt, something that it was like, it's a very patriarchal system. Okay, so and it's instilling that into the kids in a way where nobody even realizes it. It took me some time quite a few years to realize. But somebody said to me that, you know why they behave like that with you. Even others noticed that they behave differently with me. Okay, it's because you come alone, bring their father along. And I was thinking, what kind of nonsense is, why? No, that's not true. What does that have to do? And I kept on thinking that it's only because of the things that I have to say to them. Yes, it did. Because I was always kind of criticizing the root problems. And I kept on telling them that, please, this is a problem, this is a root problem. You need to fix this in order for things to get better, later on, or, above the, but it's just at the higher level. But they were just, it wasn't that exactly. It was the fact that it was just a single mom constantly cribbing in their ears and, eating up their brains. They just did not want this sort of this sort of noise in the background constantly. And I was this weird sort of a noise for them in the background constantly. So then I just decided, like none of my friends could, everybody felt that there must have something happened, some incident, something that Ali Muhammad had to be pulled out. It was nothing like that, nothing had happened. It was just, I had a chat with the principal regarding something, and he casually said to me, well, if you have a problem, why don't you pull your child out? So I said, you know what, I'm just going to pull my child out. I'm done. And there came a point a few years before I had pulled the boys out, and that's why I pulled them out so easily, was I had started, for the first time in my life, I have seen a lot of things in my life, but I started getting very sort of, every time I would turn, my car would turn from Mall Road to the canal, I don't know, some overwhelming sensation would take over, and I would feel the need to get off the car and tell my driver to get into the school himself, pick up the boys and come out, and I'll just join, at the exit gate outside. I just started feeling averse to it. I don't know. I know all of these things are like extremely, they're very hard to even talk about right now, and it may seem like something that's like something major might have happened, but nothing like that. It's just that everything over the years that had happening had just kind of stacked up in such a way that I just couldn't deal with it anymore. When you say that I was, one of those, I don't know, exemplary sort of mothers at Aitchison who were kind of, giving this very wholesome kind of picture to becoming a perfect Aitchison, parent. To be honest, that was just me trying to give my 100%, just like I tell my parents that whatever you do in life. Because we had eventually decided to put the kids in, and they got in at the first. I also said that if my kids don't get in on the first try, I'm not going to try again. I do not agree with making your kids try for 5 times to get into that school. I mean, it's a school at the end of the day. It's okay. There are so many other schools in the world. I never went to a school like Aitchison. I think I'm doing okay. And if I'm not doing okay, that's not because of my school, by the way. Okay, so there are so many other things in life that one needs to factor in rather than just focusing way too much on schooling. It's crazy. Yes, you should have good schooling. My parents paid a lot of attention to our schooling, but it wasn't like that. This is another sort of madness. It's like people will die. I know somebody who actually fainted when she heard that her child did not get into Aitchison College. Okay, this is ridiculous. This sounds very absurd to me. I'm sorry. So it's okay, and you should put your kids in an institute, even in universities. I'm being a college counselor. I keep on telling parents, there are some parents, by the way, who are. I have a lot of respect for them. They say, listen, and their child is, has a pretty decent profile. I wouldn't say like stellar, but pretty decent. And they say, listen, we're not here for any brand name universities. I don't want my child to go into the Ivy League. It's absolutely fine. Actually, we don't want to. We want to apply elsewhere. Okay, and I have a lot of respect for them because they understand their limitations and their child's limitation or their circumstances, and they feel they because all of these things bring a lot of unnecessary stress to our lives. And how that is going to affect your child. Are you even understanding how that's going to affect you? Okay, and that's going to trickle down to your child also. So one needs to look into these things. And as a college counselor, I advise all the parents who keep on insisting on Ivy Leagues and all that you should actually look at your child and see what is the best fit for your child.
I agree.
So a very, mid-tier college or even sometimes mid-lower tier college might just end up being the most amazing place where you're thriving ground for your child to actually grow into the individual that he needs to be or she needs to be.
Okay, Amna, last question. Having gone through like a very enriching parenting journey where you've seen more highs and more lows than I feel the average mother has, and you've given it so much more than the average person sometimes has the capacity to give. Like you really had the capacity to give so much more. What would your advice now be to moms? Like what do you think are the 3 things that moms should be cognizant of or be careful of or check themselves on?
I think before they jump into becoming moms, whether it is like from the schooling to the activities to what the child's routine is going to be like, first of all, I would say that do somehow try to, I know life doesn't allow it, and I wish somebody had told me that first take a step back just for a bit and kind of analyze the situation and kind of think, introspect, reflect, see what is it that you would like to do for your children eventually, and then kind of start on with the journey. Don't just jump into it. That's something that I was doing, and not because I didn't really get a chance, but you need to create that chance for yourself. Okay? Something that I wasn't told. So I'd like to say that. Other than that,
so that would be number 1.
Yes, number 1. Another thing would be, which I did a lot with my children, talk to your children as much as you possibly can, communicate with them. But unfortunately, despite the fact that I tried to be as friendly and as involved and as constantly in conversation with them, my children did end up fearing. I was the only one whom they feared. Okay, which is something I'm not very proud of. So of course that was a personal flaw that I had, and I probably still have. I am a bit of a scary person for a lot of people, not just my children. So that is something that, so I guess take more opportunities to
talk
and to keep on.
Maybe not to instruct, but just to talk.
Yes, to talk. And your instructions can also be given in a way where they don't feel like instructions.
Yeah.
If you chat to them. So I think to young parents, that's what I would like to say.
And that's number 2. And number 3 would
and
be?
I would say keep on telling them, affirmations and reaffirmations like, I love you.
Great. Okay.
Yes. I love you, and I will love you no matter what. I'd be your, right behind you whenever you need me. Anytime something wrong or bad habits happens, you just please, I should be the first person you call. I keep on telling my kids, but unfortunately I think they don't believe me. I keep on telling them that I'll be the only one who's going to be able to fix things. We can try to fix things, okay? So these are some of the things that kids need to hear.
Yeah.
Whether they believe it or not, but you need to...
And I think when they hear it enough, they believe it.
Yes, eventually they will. And they do. There have been times when, my child has told me things slightly later, but they have, And sometimes immediately, and yes, I'm trying to improve on that bit of me even more so that they can communicate even more freely. Although we do talk about everything and anything, and yes, try to have as less of taboo topics to talk about as possible, because in our culture, unfortunately, there are a lot of things that are considered taboo, and then in all that, awkwardness and shyness, a lot of things get
That are important.
unsaid.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
they're very, very important. So those are a few things that are very basic things that are pointers that I think any parent would, a slightly experienced parent would tell you. And yes, let them become who they want to be. I am not saying now it's also very, it becomes very tricky in this day and age
when gender identity
yes.
issues.
So every time I'm saying that, constantly that is coming to me, and
Yeah.
so yes, and how kids want to, and this phrase is now being taken in a very, very different way. Okay, and this whole gender fluidity and all.
But like I think what you're saying is that within the norms of our
Yes.
religion and our culture,
Yes.
let them also be on a journey of self-exploration.
yes, what I meant was, whatever they want to do professionally
Let them
and
do it.
in their lives, let them, because only then they'll be able to do things passionately if
Yeah.
they choose things themselves, and they'll
Absolutely.
be, and this is what we Pakistanis really lack. A lot of us are doing things that we did not want to do.
But it was chosen for us.
Yes, was chosen
Absolutely.
for
Like
us. And
doctors,
this is why,
half the doctors, if you ask them, "Kyun bane hain?" Oh, maa baap ne
and we have such brilliant doctors, but I feel they would have done even better
in another
some-
field.
Yes, in
I
another
agree.
field.
Jahan par unka
And
dil bhi ho.
Jahan dil hoga. And this is why Pakistan is going down.
I agree.
Internationally at so many levels, because
Because
so
we don't
many
have
of
innovators and
the professionals are
Yeah.
not really happy in their profession.
I agree.
Okay, so I would say that, and secondly, I do feel that prioritize their well-being
Over
and keep on
everything.
and keep on telling them that for me, your health is
And your
very
mental
important.
wellness.
Yes, and your peace and your happiness
Is everything.
Really.
Thank you so much, Amna. That was a really good point to end on. And I feel Amna's given us so much to think about, because her own journey as a mother has covered so much more ground. Like I feel with 5 kids, I have not covered the ground that Amna's covered with 2 boys, in terms of, all the introspection she's done, where she's come from, where she went, where the boys went. There's so much in there for all of us to learn. And I felt something that Amna said really struck with me, that none of us are prepared. So one good way to learn how to be a parent is to look at like other parents and see, okay, she's more experienced than I am, her kids are now at this level, what did she do that she feels was right, and what did she do that she feels was wrong. Like always, I feel in parenting, life is the best teacher. Thank you for watching. हमारी